Welcome to Financial Ginger, where if there's a wrong way to do something, we've found it out. I'm your host, Jacob Johnson, and we're just going to leave it there. I'm excited today. I have Kelsie Jimenez. I think I said that right. I usually ask people before I start recording. One more way I've discovered to do things wrong. A little bit about Kelsie. She is a Utah native, born and raised in the awesome Pleasant Grove. We love Pleasant Grove. She and her husband, who is originally from Venezuela, have built a busy household with 4 boys and 3 dogs. I love seeing your dogs on your Instagram.
Thank you.
Because of her husband's career, their family spent several years moving around the country before eventually returning to Utah. After coming back home, Kelsie earned her general contractor's license and spent several years working full-time installing tile and flooring. When health challenges made the physical demands of construction difficult to maintain, she transitioned careers and moved fully into the real estate industry, where she now focuses her energy and experience helping clients navigate buying and selling homes. Kelsie brings a practical, hands-on perspective, definitely hands-on, to real estate, thanks to her background in construction, along with the resilience that comes from building a career through multiple life transitions while raising a large family. Welcome to the podcast, Kelsie.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited. I usually start with a Reddit story. And then I'll invite you to chime in on it, whatever your thoughts are, and then we'll get into interviews. So Reddit, I think this one's a fail of the day. This comes from username u-sam_fay, Fay04. This is just from a couple months ago. House of Horrors. I need massive advice on what to do. I'm currently pregnant and have a 3-year-old. My husband and I bought a house 3 months ago, and 2 months in noticed that our walls in the 3-year-old's room have been leaking. We found black mold on the other side of the wall where the spare room is, and it is also having the same leaking issue. We removed the plaster in our daughter's room to discover more black mold. This was not disclosed to us. It wasn't in the inspection report. 1 month of owning the house, the lady's grandson told us at a neighborhood party that the walls were leaking. I brushed it off. Apparently, he was telling the truth. To add to this, the House of Horrors, we have a crack in our foundation that our inspector clearly missed. It wasn't in the report. I don't know what to do. I'm pregnant, I'm anxious, and I need advice. Whew.
That's bad.
That's really bad. One thought I had is, obviously she mentioned the home inspector didn't catch it, which I'm kind of surprised a home inspector wouldn't catch that, because a lot of home inspectors I know, like I work with Dustin Hamp, they do like mold tests. Like they have little like things they put in a couple places of the house, and then it comes back if there's mold. So maybe they need a better home inspector.
Well, not all buyers choose to pay for that supplementary test.
True.
And so they just did the general inspection and didn't pay the extra money for the mold test. Then that's kind of on them during their due diligence. I advise the buyers to always they'll say, do you think I need the mold test? And I always say, err on the side of caution.
Yeah.
Because even maybe the sellers did not know that there was mold behind the walls. And how would they know?
True. And just a random confession from their grandson a month later that's not going to hold up if they're trying to get a real estate
unless
attorney
there's
or
some kind of proof from professional services called into the home.
Yeah, that it's
really
been
hard to
a
prove.
while.
So,
ooh, that's stressful. Yeah. I know that there's state disclosures laws. So if for some reason it's a failed disclosure, there might be some remedy but that would involve getting like a real estate attorney, and that can get really expensive or take forever really quickly. So that might not even be a good solution there. But
and sometimes is it even worth it? Long story here. I
love long stories.
I'll try to condense it. At one time we were transferred to Bakersfield, California, and we found a home that we loved. And the reason why I picked this home is because it had this massive palm tree in the backyard by the swimming pool. Think like the pineapple on SpongeBob SquarePants, that huge pineapple.
Beautiful, picturesque.
Yeah, it was this big, huge, fat palm tree. I don't know if I said palm tree earlier or pineapple tree, but yeah. Anyways, we bought it because I said, if I'm going to have to live in California, I want palm trees.
Yeah.
Probably about 2 months after we were living in the home, the neighbor behind us came and knocked on the door and said, I don't know if you're aware that there was a lawsuit regarding your palm tree, and that the seller was supposed to fix my swimming pool because the roots are damaging my pool, and now you're responsible.
Oh my gosh.
So I went back and I checked my seller disclosures, and
they had not.
It specifically asked, has this property been involved in a lawsuit? And they marked no. So I went to my realtor and said, what are we to do? Because now I have to pay for a swimming pool. And he said, good luck trying to get any money out of this seller. They moved out of the state. It was a divorce situation. She's filed bankruptcy. It's going to be a long, lengthy process.
Oh my gosh.
So luckily, the neighbor was really nice. She said she was willing to let us off the hook on paying for the repair of her swimming pool, and she filed a claim on her insurance.
Oh, nice.
And said if we cut down the palm tree that she would be okay.
But you lost your beautiful palm tree?
We lost the palm tree.
And that's why you're not in Bakersfield anymore? Just kidding.
No, oil field took us somewhere else. So.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, a similar one where I saw actually two stories. One situation I saw that was kind of like this, a seller disclosure situation. And I will try to avoid names because this person knows me. But they sold their home. There was land subsidence, which, just to clarify what land subsidence is, it's kind of like an earthquake, but it takes 40 years, right? Like slow deterioration of the soil is called land subsidence. And it caused part of the house to sink. They repaired it themselves.
Oh.
And they did not disclose that there was this damage. And it was discovered when it continued to sink a couple months after it'll kind of like, the dirt and soil settles. It's on a road called Springwater Drive because there's an underground spring that runs parallel to the road. Almost every house in that neighborhood that I grew up in has had flooding or land subsidence that's caused significant damage. Like some of these people had to spend $40,000, $50,000, $80,000 to repair damage. And it's because there's an underground river that changes courses over time and ends up causing dirt and soil to move, and then houses settle in weird ways that are uncomfortable. Like one person, their house, this was like my next door neighbor growing up, their house settled so much in the basement, there was a gap underneath the wall where it settled down, where air was flowing from the exterior of the home into the home, right? Like it was bad for some of the houses. My parents' basement flooded twice while I was growing up from the underground spring, right? And obviously that's a flood and home insurance doesn't cover that. So anyways, but because they didn't disclose it, they tried to cover it up. What ended up happening, they got a real estate attorney involved and they had to pay the $80,000 to get the house repaired after they'd sold it. So thankfully it was obviously it wasn't bad for the person I know that sold the house, but you should know you need to disclose, especially when you repaired it.
Disclose.
Yeah. Like disclose anything that's happened, Yeah. Another thing I always recommend is get a radon test, but that's obviously not part of this because especially in Utah, a lot of older homes have some radon problems.
And that's another supplementary test that they can choose to get or not.
Yeah.
In the state of Wyoming, when we lived there, every real estate transaction requires radon tests. So I could see it eventually becoming a Utah thing.
Yeah. I hope they change the laws on that. Like, I think meth testing should be standardized because as much as people don't want to act like it's a problem, Utah has one of the higher rates of drug abuse and certain factors like that. Prescriptions, but also meth is a lot more common here than you'd think. And I've actually seen home insurance claims where people are like trying to figure out, something's wrong. And it's like, this is meth. Home insurance isn't going to cover meth, like explicitly and specifically because it's an intentional damage. It's like, if you're cooking meth, that is intentional damage to the house. No home insurance policy that I'm aware of will cover meth damage.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, because it's considered intentional, right? Intentional acts. So
luckily, they have new remedies, though, for treating meth. And you don't have to take it down to the studs like it used to be.
Yeah, it's not as bad as it used to be.
So
fun. Anyways, that's
times.
A terrible story. Thank you so much for letting me read that, Sam Faye 04. If you have an interesting story you want to share or want us to share our thoughts on, feel free to leave a comment or email me at thefinancialginger@gmail.com. And maybe, send a letter to your state legislator telling you that, hey, we should make some of these tests mandatory because that would have saved a lot of problems. Because people think, I'm going to save a couple $100 or however much a test like that costs. And it's like, yeah, but it would have saved you from this. Or you could have negotiated the seller to repair it. Or once you find out a problem, right, and their real estate agent is right, they have to disclose that on future transactions. They continue to try to sell it if you fall through. You probably know that better than I do, but
absolutely.
Yeah. If something's discovered.
Yeah, I had some buyers that were buying a HUD home, which is an FHA owned home that went through bankruptcy.
Oh.
And we ended up doing a sewer scope, $200, found out that there's over a $20,000 repair on that sewer main, ended up backing out. And now HUD has to disclose that to any future buyers. So. Yep,
exactly. It's good. That's actually a good protection. I'm glad that we legally have to do that. Just a note though, if you need sewer scopes in the future, I have a company I work with called Quick Quality Plumbing.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, they're great. They literally, they came to my grandma's house, is in the process of being sold, and they did a sewer scope absolutely free.
Yeah.
Like they're really, I love those people. I met them, Jared, when me and my dad did photography for his daughter's wedding.
Oh, cool.
Forever ago, right? Like forever ago. So my dad always tinkered with photography. I was just getting extra pictures because I am not a skilled photographer. But
he's a PG homeboy. So he went to school with my sister.
Oh, cool.
You know, back in the day, Utah County was very small.
Yeah.
So we all know each other. So
yeah, that's awesome. That's so cool. I love Utah County. It's great people, great places. Okay. Well, getting a little bit into your story and your history and your skill and expertise. I've perused your Instagrams a little bit, and I love the way you I don't know. I think like your layout is super unique in how you do it. Do you have a background as like a background designer or as a
No, I don't, but I've always been very highly artistic and creative. So I've studied a little bit of interior design, done, just tile painting, all sorts of things like that. So I love being unique, and I wanted to kind of stand out from this perfectly polished industry. So
everyone tries to make it look like it's perfect, but it's not.
Yeah, nobody's perfect. So
no, not at all. Not even us gingers. No, just kidding. God tried, but no, just kidding. That's funny. Well, you talked a lot about perfectionism in the real estate industry. How does that play out in Utah?
That's huge in Utah. I mean, not even in real estate, just
in general.
I'm sure you realize this in talking to people that move from out of state. In my experience of moving out of state and moving back in, and this whole like trying to be perfect and not actually like owning when you've made mistakes.
Yeah.
Or owning when you are struggling with something and just trying to, sweep it under the rug instead of actually addressing problems. So
or being willing to say you don't know something when you don't know.
Yeah.
Like it's okay. I have people that'll ask me really specific questions, and I'm like,
I don't know.
I have no clue.
But let me find out.
I'm going to go call 15 underwriters and figure out the right answer.
Yeah.
Yes. Or people are like, oh, I want to insure this and I want to do it this way. Like I had a weird situation. This guy from Japan is buying a property with his daughter that's going to school at BYU.
Cool.
Actually, I assumed BYU. She's going to school and lives in Provo. So I figure it's probably BYU. It could be UVU, but likely BYU.
Yeah.
Especially because it's Provo. But anyways, and they're buying a house together. And I know that there's some rules about the way I have to structure the insurance for if someone lives out of state. But I'm like, what about out of country? Right? Because he's a co-owner, but he's not occupying it. And so like there's certain rules about how. So I'm actually waiting on hearing back from a bunch of underwriters about how they want me to write the policy to make sure that there's no problems.
Yeah, because I didn't know that.
I've seen home insurance has to be written in the name of the person that's occupying it if it's an owner occupied policy, right? So if it's tenant occupied, then it's on a different policy form, right? Sure. You have a dwelling fire form versus a homeowner's form, which either way you own the home, but owner occupied is usually called a homeowner's form. I don't know why HO and then tenant occupied is a DP or dwelling fire, which that's just the shorthand term insurance. So it's like, oh, well, if you've got a partial owner occupied where there's two different owners, it's just a little different. And if different insurance carriers have different rules about how they want you to write it, some will say if one of the owners isn't occupying it, you have to list them as an additional interest or an additional insured and not as the primary person on the policy. And so it just gets messy really quick. But you want to do it the right way because I've seen people have claims denied because they don't write the right form.
That's super interesting.
Yeah. Or another one I've seen is people have vacant properties and they just assume, oh, well, I've got a dwelling fire form because I used to have a tenant there. It's been vacant for a year while I'm trying to sell it or whatever. And then they have a claim and the claim gets denied because a lot of homeowners policies and dwelling fire policies will have language that says, hey, if this has been unoccupied for more than 60 days or 90 days, then this policy doesn't provide adequate coverage. This is made for someone who's actively living in the home, whether it's the homeowner or a tenant. And so vacant policies are a whole different type of insurance anyways. So I'm really passionate about making sure people actually have the right type of coverage for what they're doing, or like fix and flips. If you're bringing a bunch of materials and you're tearing down and rebuilding, it's like, hey, there are certain coverage gaps you might have if you don't have the right. Anyways, it's a nightmare sometimes. So it's important to say, I don't know, because the first time I encountered something weird like that, I was like, I don't know. Called 15 underwriters, figured it out, and now I'm a lot more confident in it.
Right.
It's
That's
okay
exactly,
to not know.
I just told my buyer this morning, she texted me and she's working out of state. So she's on a different time zone. And she said, I can't get a hold of the insurance carrier. Which policy should I pick? Because she's buying a home, hopefully tomorrow. And and she said, which one should I pick? And I said, I'm not an insurance professional. So what we ended up doing is we dropped it into Chat GPT and compared the two policies. And then she's just going to pick one for now. And I said, after you've chosen, so we can just get it submitted to underwriting and get the clear close, I want you to sit down with a professional and actually go over what coverage is important to you.
Yes.
So
definitely.
I had to remind her, like, this is not my lane. And so I will point you to who you need to talk to, but I don't do insurance. So
yeah, exactly. Right. And that's something I was like, people are like, oh, I need to remember that. I'm like, no, you don't. You just need someone that you trust.
Yes, exactly.
Right. People, to do business with someone, you need to like, you need to know, and you need to, well, I suppose you need to know them first, and then you have to like them and you have to trust them.
Yeah.
And if you don't have those three things, it's hard to do business with someone.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't like someone that you're working with, it's easy to find a different person. If you don't trust the person, well, obviously you shouldn't work with them to begin with. So it's important to have those things, and it's okay to not know.
Yeah.
It's okay. And if you don't know, say, I don't know. Hey, let's get you to the right person, or here's the right way to do it. I have people that they'll call me and they're like, hey, I'm moving out of state. And I'm like, well, I'm only licensed in Utah. So here's the process to find an insurance agent that I recommend. Right. It's like, okay, cool. Here's a great tool. Or occasionally I have referrals. Like I know someone in Idaho, so I'll send people that way. But yeah, that's definitely it's good to combat the perfectionism culture.
Yeah.
You know, because it's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to not know.
Yeah.
And accepting that makes you more real, in some ways more valuable. Because
authentic.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Okay.
Quick pause. Financial Ginger is sponsored by me. If your insurance renewal just went up and you're not sure why, that's exactly why I exist. I'm an independent insurance broker here in Utah. I represent nearly 25 insurance companies, so I can compare their rates and coverage side by side and show you your options clearly. When you call my office, you get a real person, no robot, no menu, just a real conversation. Email jacobinsuresutah@gmail.com or call and text 801-216-8444, and I'll review your coverage personally. All right, let's get back to the episode.
Another area that I think is really fascinating. I've seen your mini series where you're talking about selling without spiraling.
Yes.
Because I've seen people definitely go through that, like where something goes wrong and then it's just like a lot of emotional overwhelm. Yeah. What does selling without spiraling mean? I suppose in a nutshell, I'll let you explain the concept, I suppose.
The concept is that selling real estate is very emotional. A lot of sellers have these ties to these homes. And I deal a lot with people that have had the home for decades.
Yeah.
Where they've had loved ones pass away in the home. And they've had, just so many memories. And as they're walking me through the home, they're, over in this corner is where this happened. And, it's a very emotional moment for them. And so as they're preparing the home to sell, I like to have a clear path for them to follow and guide them, because they do start to crash out and they get overwhelmed and they bag it, they put it on the shelf, and they don't want to talk about it till next year because it's just too overwhelming. All of the decluttering, going through, feeling judgment about their home because it's not perfect, wondering, should we renovate? Should we not? So the selling without spiraling is just basically coming in and being a compass for them and what works in their situation. So
that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really liked where you talked about how it's an emotional process, because I think people forget that, like, right, life isn't just a series of business transactions, right? Like it's really the lives we've lived, like when you were talking about the pineapple tree, dude, I remember my grandpa, he lived in the same house from when he got married until basically when he died. And he had a palm tree that started growing in his backyard in Southern California, and he decided he didn't like where it was. So he, in his 80s, dug out it wasn't fully mature. It was like a year and a half old. So it was a fairly big tree. It's probably a couple 100 pounds at this point. Put it in a wheelbarrow by himself, transported it to his front yard and planted it where he wanted this palm tree to be, or pineapple tree, whatever it was. And I'm just like, whoa, right? Like, that's not necessarily the most logical decision. It was just, I decided I liked this in a different way, and it's okay. Right. Or my grandparents passed away recently, and like going through their belongings and books and journals and 400 little bells that my grandma used to collect, when they went on trips or traveled or whatnot. And there's a lot to it because everyone has a different way of dealing with those emotions, right? Like I remember when my great grandmother passed away, my grandma was really upset with one of her sisters because she didn't want any of her mother's belongings.
Right.
I don't want any of this stuff. I'm fine with my life. My life has enough things in it. I remember grandma in my own way, her mom, right? My great grandmother in this way. But for my grandma, it was way different. It was like, oh, and she got into like scrapbooking old pictures of hers and made new things. And like, she made this little display of photos of like, 5 generations of Webster women, and put in like glass sacrament cups that she had kept from when the church used to do that, and kept like little tiny, I don't know what it was. It was like a scrap of a baby outfit that someone had handmade that had fallen apart, and there was a little piece left, right? Like she made like that was her way of dealing with the grief of losing her mother, right?
Yeah.
Like, and everyone deals with that differently. And I can't imagine how much more complicated it gets when it's like, hey, this house has been in our home for generations,
Yeah.
or this house has been where, right? Like where I gave birth to I know people like home births, and they're like, hey, I had 3 of my children in this bedroom. Yeah. Yeah. You had home births?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Right. And it's just like, that's a lot. Sometimes it makes it harder to sell your property, or you want it to be perceived a certain way, and realizing, hey, it's more easier to sell if you clear all your stuff out first and stage it a certain way. And it's like, oh, but this doesn't look the way I remember it or like it. And it's like, right.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that you talk about that. It's like, you want the buyer walking through your home. That really struck me when you're like, hey, walk through your house and think about it as a buyer. And I made a comment on that. I was like, get one of your neighbors to walk through your house and like, right, give that perspective of what.
Well, and going on tours with buyers, we hear what the buyers are seeing. And if you have too much like collectibles or unique decorations, they actually look at the decorations and always comment on it instead of looking at the home and the foundations and the structure of the home. And then later we go under contract, everything's moved out. They go for their final walkthrough and they go, wait, I don't remember it looking like this, because they were too busy looking at the Coca-Cola collection on the wall or the Precious Moments collections, instead of actually looking at what they need to look at.
Yeah. Yeah. Your seasonal Christmas trees that cycle with every holiday or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really appreciate that you point out, it's like, yeah, you're trying to help someone when you're selling your house to see themselves living in it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want them to, or it's not helpful for them to see you living in it.
Yeah,
you want them to be able to imagine that they live in it. And that should change the way you sell a house, even though that's can be emotionally difficult to hear.
Yeah. So sometimes you have to come in and be the bad guy and tell them, I think this is very adorable, but this doesn't work for the general population. When they come in, they need it neutral, and they need to be able to see what it would look like for them to live in the home. So we want to highlight, how are they going to make it their home? Yeah. Because you've already decided you're selling, you're moving on. So you're moving also. So this is a great time to start just moving your stuff out. So
yeah. Is being a bad guy harder when they're still off? Because I imagine there's 2 situations, right? It's like, hey, I've already bought a property. I'm already moving out, right? That one's way easier because they've already moved their stuff out.
Right.
But it's like, I'm still living in it. I need to sell it to buy the next home I'm living in, right? Like I need to roll that equity. It can be a little bit harder to sell while someone's living in it. You ever had to deal with that?
That's an excellent question. That's actually kind of why I got into real estate, is because we got transferred a lot in the oil field. I have 4 boys, 3 large dogs. And so you can imagine last minute showings and trying to keep the home looking perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. With 4 boys, that's hard.
I remember during showings sitting down the park at, soccer practice with the bird in the bird cage and the dogs and the boys running at the park, waiting for a showing to happen because they didn't want to show that we had pets in the home.
Yeah.
Or anything like that. So eventually I got really good where we would go house hunting, and it was always out of state when we would get transferred, just so you know.
Oh, okay.
So I would stage the home perfectly and then tell my realtor, okay, I'm going to leave for 2 weeks to go house hunting. Show it as
Show
much
it
as
as hard.
possible.
Yeah.
Open houses, like just basically like cram it all in.
This is the 2 weeks you're going to get where the house looks right.
Yeah. And so just knowing and having some empathy for when you're living in the home and you're trying to sell it, I totally get it.
Yeah.
I like to come in and people don't like me to tour their home until they clean it. And I say, no, actually just let me come in because I like to see how you live in the home daily. Because I want to know exactly what kind of struggle we're going to deal with on showings.
Yeah.
How much notice do they need actually? A lot of people say, oh, I'm so sorry. My house is a mess. And I'm like, where?
You could show this house right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And other people, they're like, I've cleaned. And you're like,
Where?
yeah. It's the same thing.
Yes.
Oh, I could not be a real estate agent. I absolutely couldn't do it. I really struggle to tell people that sort of stuff.
Oh,
That's why I like insurance is I can be, here's a bunch of numbers, right? And like the insurance part is, I want to make sure my daughter's covered. Oh, well, here's how that, right? Like it's just way different. And versus, right? Because that's very, very personal.
yeah.
Yeah.
Communication's key.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And having someone that you can trust to look through your house and see the way you live and not judge you, right? Like these people fear judgment,
Yeah.
right? Especially going back to that perfectionism culture. They're worried some realtor's going to come in and then judge me and decide they don't want to work with me or decide I'm a bad person because I don't know, leave my dishes in the sink or whatever it is, or my kids have clothes on the floor in their bedroom or
my bathroom's dirty.
Yeah. And it's just like, no, it's not the end of the world. I just see there's so much compassion in being able to kindly tell someone, here's some ways that I'm going to help you sell your home.
Right.
Right. Whether for their goals, whether it's we need to sell it quickly because we have to move at a certain point, right? Or we need to sell it for a certain price because if we don't sell it for at least this price, we're there. And it's like, that's really close to where you think like, I don't know if you're going to be able to do it. It's like, well, staging your home in my way, or maybe there's some repairs they need to do or whatever that could help it sell a little bit more.
Absolutely.
Right. Like it's just, there's a lot of compassion in being able to do that in a loving way and in a way that helps people not feel judged.
And being honest with them.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of agents that will just say yes
to everything.
Yeah. And they say, oh, I want to sell my home for $800,000 when really they know that it's probably closer to $700,000, for example. And they just say yes because they want them to sign.
Mm-hmm.
And then sit it on the market for a little bit and then go back and do the price reduction, which they're setting the different expectations when really just come in and be honest with them and guide them because that's our expertise. They're not the experts. That's why they're hiring you.
Yeah.
So
pricing is such a weird thing. I don't understand pricing at all when it comes to real estate, right? Because especially going back to the insurance, like people will come dealing with the insurance, right? They're like, hey, I'm paying this much for my house. And they assume they need to insure it for that much.
Right.
Like, well, no, because think about it. If your land's worth $150,000 or $200,000, or if you're an Alpine and it's worth $1 million because it's Alpine, right? It's like, oh, well, your house might be worth that much if you were to sell it, right? Or you're paying this much for your house, but you don't need to insure it for that much, right? That I feel like that's an easier conversation for me because I have a little form where I put in how much square foot, how much above ground, how much below ground, how many bathrooms, how many full bathrooms. Tell me about the countertops. Okay, these are middle, right, average economic bathrooms. Oh, these are upscale bathrooms. These are custom bathrooms. I can pull up pictures of real estate listing. Like it's easy to say, here's the value to rebuild that if it was lost in a fire.
Okay.
But then like when you're selling a home, there's so much etherealness to like the pricing where it's like, oh, well, how much is right? Because really at the end of the day, you can sell something for whatever the price is someone's willing to buy it for.
Exactly.
Right. And part of that comes to location and the size and how close it is to the parks and the good schools and all those things that people care about. And so I'm glad I don't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
But I'm glad there are people that know how to do it.
You need to have a pulse on the market. And that's where is kind of a problem in our industry in Utah is we have a lot of part-time agents.
Yes.
And they don't really understand what's going on until it's too late.
They kind of just throw a number and
because you can do a CMA to kind of guess the value, but you don't really know what buyers are willing to pay until you can kind of get a feel what's going on in the market.
Yeah.
And it'll shift. And so really we can put whatever price that you think it's going to sell for, but it really will sell for what a buyer's willing to pay.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So,
Which is,
And the right
Ooh.
buyer, how are they going to live in this home? If they can see themselves living in this home and raising their family and it's going to be their like forever home, they're going to pay. They're willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
Put in a strong offer. So
Yeah. Well, and things have definitely shifted, right? Which is why it's important to be in there full time. Because like, dude, 2 years ago, people were paying over asking price all the time. You know, you'd see people put a price that you think was ridiculous and they'd get 3 offers over asking and be closing a week later because the buyer was urgent and excited and willing to pay over asking. You're like, okay, cool. Right. And that is definitely not what's happening in 2026, right? Like I'm seeing a lot more concessions and sellers being like, oh, we're going to include extra money for this, or we're going to pay for your closing costs, or we're going to pay your realtor fees for you, or whatever, however it works out. Right. It's like, oh, like it's definitely shifted a little bit, and being in the market constantly can help you keep a rhythm on what's normal or what's happening. It's different than 5 years ago or 20 years ago or 40 years ago when that person you're working with last bought a house.
Yes.
Right. Because it's like, oh, well, this is what it was like in 1995 when I bought a house.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, 2026 is a little bit different. And it's not that they should know that.
No.
Right. You're able to guide them through that.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. It's so weird to me how that works.
Yeah. Speaking of weird, like one of my clients this last summer, they lived in their home for 66 years and have never sold a home ever.
In their entire life?
Yeah.
Never sold them. Yeah.
They'd just been a homeowner for 66 years and they were ready to sell and was like, we don't even know what to do. So
how do we do that?
Wild, right?
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long time. Well, especially for them, even more so, the emotional side. What I find really interesting with talking to so many different real estate agents is everyone has like a different kind of person they want to work with. And I like that you're really honest about that.
Yeah.
Like one of your posts that I think caught my eye when Christy was like, you got to talk to Kelsie, was the one where it's like, I might not be a good fit for you if, and then you just have all this list. It's like, you think this, or you expect this, or you want this, or you want a yes man. Well, I'm not a yes man, or, you know,
or
like
a very transactional relationship.
Yeah.
Because I'm there to hold your hand through it.
Yeah.
So,
and just as important as knowing who you don't work with, knowing who you work with, right? Like it makes it easier for you and the buyer or potential prospective client to know if you're the right person for them.
Absolutely.
Right? Like for me, one of the things I found that makes it so many people like working with my agency is I text, where a lot of insurance companies don't text. They're like, it has to all be over phone for certain compliance rules. And I'm like, I can get around it. I have a software and it uploads my text messages into my little system and whatnot.
That's amazing.
So I can keep track of it. And worst case, sometimes they don't. And so I like screenshots and whatnot. Like I get it. There's compliance rules about, you know, selling insurance and I'm sure selling homes too. But it's like,
yeah,
I want to work the way people are going to work with me. And that's important to me. It's like, if someone prefers that, or right, like you were talking about that person that they were hard to get a hold of the insurance company, maybe it's because of their work. And it's like the insurance company is only available 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Right. And I generally only work 9 to 5, but I have some people that are like, hey, I'm calling on my lunch break. I don't have time to go over this. Like, can I call you at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock tonight? I'm like, let me know the day. I will stay a little bit late. Right. Because that's important to me. But everyone has different things that they want, right? Like, what do you want out of a relationship? Like for me, I'm growing still. I'm trying to find as many clients as possible. And that's a little different than an agent that's been doing it for 40 years and is winding down and potentially going to sell their business or something. And it's like, they don't care about that. Well, they don't care. They're in a different phase of their business cycle, right? They're like, I've already got thousands of clients and I'm servicing them. Like, I don't need to make this weird exception for one person.
Also, they find that like time is money. And
yes, they value it differently.
This type of person doesn't work well for me.
Yeah, exactly. So in any business relationship, you have to know the person exists. You have to like them, and knowing what you don't want really helps because it qualifies people. They come across your Instagram post and they're like, "Oh, well, I don't want that." Cool, sweet. Don't waste your time. Like,
exactly.
Go find the agent that you want, right? Like, I really appreciate that honesty you have. Like, it's right. Awesome because it really helps. If you tell people to go away, then you're only going to get people. You're not going to waste your time too.
Yeah.
When people reach out and they're like, "Hey, I'm looking for this," it's like, "Oh, well, I do this. I don't do that." Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm going to speak in terms that you understand, and if you don't understand it, we're going to go over it in another way.
Yeah.
So that you can actually understand what you're signing, because I don't just send over documents and just say sign. So I actually had some frustration yesterday where a title company that is not my preferred title was treating my clients in a not so great way because of what type of buyer they are. So they
Oh, okay.
lowered their level of service because of what type of buyer they were. And I said, no, excuse me, like we are going to schedule a closing. You're going to go over all of the documents with them because they deserve this. They are buying a home. They deserve, no matter how much commission you're making off of it, a certain level of service.
Yeah,
So
totally. Totally. Thinking about that a little bit more, you've moved a lot, so you have a lot of experience with it. It sounds like you've worked with a lot of people that have never moved before. Like, what are some of the things that might be unexpected for someone that's like never sold a home before and is selling their first property? That's like helpful to go over. Or maybe, I don't know, an alternate question. Sorry, I'm a little bit ADHD, so I kind of go all over the place.
No, you're good.
With how many times you've moved compared to other people, like what are some of the insights that have helped people navigate a weird move themselves? I don't know. I really like hearing stories. I'm like you share a little bit about this title person you helped with, or the person moving out of state, or this couple that hasn't moved 66 years. Like I always find that fascinating, like how your experience has helped someone that's going through, like, or that 66-year couple, like they didn't know anything. I don't know. Was there anything super shocking that
one actually was a really cool story. And I've been told I'm willing that I can share that story.
Oh, cool.
So the reason why people hire real estate agents is because they're trying to keep it legal. They don't want to end up going to court. And for sell by owners I don't know the exact number. I think it was about 68% end up in court for sell by owner nationwide.
That's very significant.
So we'll have to look it up again.
Yeah, we'll double check it, but still, even if it's 1 out of 2, that's still too much, but 2 out of 3 almost.
So you want somebody that can help navigate these complex legal transactions. And so they hired me because they said, we don't know what we're doing and we don't want to get in trouble. So I helped them through it. The documents are overwhelming, as you know. So even just the seller property condition disclosure is 16 pages.
Yeah, and
they get so overwhelmed. Yeah. And they're like, am I going to get sued if I share this? And I said, no, actually, this is why you're disclosing it. So then the buyer knows and they're still choosing in. Anyways, funny story. We ended up going on market. We had multiple offers, ended up choosing the best offer. And after we were under contract, we found out that the buyer's was the seller's brother's granddaughter.
Oh, that's funny.
And the granddaughter named her firstborn child after the seller's husband who built the home. And
no way.
Yeah. And so it was wild. And there was some, hiccups throughout the transaction.
As there always is.
Yeah. And my client, she's elderly and she just really wants this family member to move in.
That's exciting.
Yeah. But there's a few moments where we still had to go through our due diligence and we had to negotiate repairs. And my job is to help make sure it's fair for her. And when she found out it was family member, she just wanted to give it away.
Yeah.
And the daughter and the son were like, well, we still have to pay for mom's care.
Yeah.
And so, this is what you're saying the market is, and this is what it's worth. And I said, exactly.
And there were other offers.
And we have other buyers willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
So as much as we want to help granddaughter move in, which she did end up buying it, and she's very happy in that home. But we had to make sure that it was very legal.
Yeah. And professional.
And fair.
Yeah. And fair.
And professional.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And we don't want to ruin family relationships.
No.
So.
No, absolutely not. Like I've seen situations where people are buying a house and it's like, hey, this roof is 40 years old. Like we need a new roof. We're going to negotiate that you're paying for the whole roof or at least part of the roof or whatever. Right. And there's some back and forth. We would like this and this. Okay. Well, we'd like this and this. Right. Like, and there's obviously some negotiation there, but it's like, hey, it's important, right? The new person that's buying the house, there's this cost that they know they're going to have because it's an old roof. And that's important to discuss, right? Like especially if there's like $50,000, $60,000 of repairs that need to be done. It's like, okay, well, do we discount the price that much? Is there another way to wrap it in? Like, do I bear the entire responsibility versus just saying, oh, well, just give it all to them, right? Like, you have to be protective of the seller that you're representing too. It's like, what's fair?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's hard to navigate too.
Yeah. Well, and that's the fun part is having a background in general construction
Yeah.
is that I get to walk through and I can point out a lot of the red flags immediately. And so with buyers, I can say, hey, like you can bet the home inspection is going to come up with this, this, and this, and that. And they'll say, yeah.
And you've got a pretty good batting average on that.
Yeah, I do. I mean, obviously I can't sniff for mold or,
Yeah.
or see that sewer main, but I can point out a lot.
Yeah.
And same with sellers. When we go through, I told my sellers, if you have the money, you should repair the roof because the roof was actually in very bad shape. And if you are selling it that way, you're closing your buyer pool because there's going to be a lot of loans that will not fund on a home with a bad roof.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and one of the reasons why I've seen that happen where people are frustrated with me as an insurance agent is I can't get insurance. Yeah. Sometimes you have houses with really, really old roofs and insurance companies look at that and they'll say, I don't want to insure that risk, period. Or they'll triple the price. Like I've seen policies be $4,000 or $5,000 and it's like, this should be like $1,500 or $1,800, maybe even $1,000. Depends on the age and the condition and size and all that stuff. But I'll see policies that are ridiculously expensive, and then I'll run the same numbers. I'll be like, "What if I had a new roof?" It's like, "Oh, look, green light. It's $1,800. That's suddenly doable." And so sometimes it makes your house more sellable to do some of those repairs because, right? Or certain types of loans, certain loan programs, they'll have their own inspector come out and they're like, "Oh, this has a really old electrical panel. We won't do a loan on this property until it's repaired." It's like, you have to negotiate.
Yes.
They won't, or you have to wait for a different buyer, which might pay less or might take more time. Yeah. Yeah. And especially if you still have a mortgage on your home, if your house is sitting for another month or two, that's you paying more mortgage payments. It's like, that's costing you money as well.
Absolutely. Do you want to hear something wild?
Yes.
We bought a home in California with a wood shake roof with an FHA loan.
I thought FHA, how?
I don't know how that happened. It was a long time ago. But now that I think about it, it's like, how did we even get that? Because I heard they won't even insure on wood shake roofs anymore.
It depends on the company. There are some companies that will, but there's a lot that won't.
And we had a swimming pool too, and it wasn't gated. So I don't know.
Well, I don't know if FHA loans have problems with swimming pools, but that's usually an insurance problem. Insurance hates unfenced swimming pools. They hate wood roofs. They particularly hate if you have a trampoline in your front yard. I'll be driving around here in Utah and I'll see people that have a trampoline in their front yard and I'm like, how? I've seen 3 of them here in Utah. I'm like, how do you have a trampoline? Your insurance company must not know.
They don't know.
Like there's no way they know about that because anytime someone says they have like, a lot of times people be like, oh, how much does a trampoline cost to insure? I'll be like, let's look, $12 a year. Oh, that's not much. Yeah, it's just liability, right? If some kid breaks their teeth and sues you or something like that, they have to defend you or whatnot, right? Whatever the weird thing is about liability. Or, oh, it doesn't have a net on the trampoline. Okay, it's $20 a year. Like it's usually not that much.
Wow.
But it's sometimes a matter of eligibility. They'll be like, oh, where is it? Oh, it's in an unfenced backyard and you've got back neighbors, that share that yard. Oh, it's a public nuisance. No, we're not like that's, but literally they'll get the rejection and it'll say public nuisance. I'm like, that's weird. Like it's just their insurance talk for, we don't want to insure this because it's too much of a risk. I'm like, why? I don't know exactly why. Yeah.
Some neighbor can come jump on your trampoline and
sue
you.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Same thing with certain dog breeds. It's kind of silly. Some insurance companies don't like certain dog breeds. They don't like Doberman pinschers. Don't know why. Just don't like them. Yeah. It's weird how that works out. But it's good to be in the know about, right? Especially as a general contractor. It's like, hey, here's things that you know from your experience. You're going to need to replace the roof before you sell this property. Or as a buyer, it's like, hey, I know you're looking at using this VA program or this program. If you know the loan program's a little bit, right? It's like they're going to want this electrical panel to be replaced because it looks like it's 100 years old. Or, oh, there's knob and tube. Have you ever run into old houses that have like knob and tube wiring? It's like, you can't insure those. Well, you can. They're just very expensive, or some companies won't do it, or they'll require you to replace them. It's just like, hey, FYI, you're going to need to replace the electrical in the whole house because it's old aluminum knob and tube wiring or whatever the situation is.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good to be aware of.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy that you're able to do that. And I feel like wood shake roofs are just so hard to maintain too. Cause like you're supposed to put like linseed oil on them every year or whatnot.
Yeah, we never did.
Yeah, no one ever does. That's why insurance companies don't like them.
We ended up replacing the whole roof. So.
Oh, nice. After you close on an FHA loan.
After a couple of years, 2 years living in the home, we got a new roof on it.
That's awesome. Yeah. And one thing to note now, if you replace your roof, ask your insurance company. Usually it makes it cheaper if you have a new roof. Any roof under 15 years old is generally going to be cheaper than an older roof. So worth noting.
How much cheaper?
It depends on the company. Like I had one the other day. It was a multi-million-dollar house up in Salt Lake City. But their insurance dropped about 30% when they got a new roof. But their old roof was really old. And that's not usually typical. Usually it's more of a matter of eligibility. Like some companies, like Travelers right now in Utah, if your roof's over 20 years old, they won't even offer you a rate. They'll just say no, straight up. I have one company that if it's more than 15 years old and it's shingles, they won't do it. I have another company, if you have a rolled or rubber roof and it's over 10 years old, they won't offer you new insurance.
What about the ones that are the rubber roof that are lifetime?
Yeah, most insurance companies don't like them. Like the T-Lock or whatever they're called, or I don't know. Dude, roofs are the most confusing thing to me because insurance companies are just so particular about them. That's why I always tell people get metal roofs. Yeah. No insurance company will ever have a problem with the metal roof. True. It's just going to be loud when it rains. Yeah. Like that's it. But I don't know why. I don't know why they don't like those, but that
was my first job when I was 12 years old, as I was working for a roofer.
Really?
They would do tear-offs, and our neighbor was a roofer, and I would go with them and pick up all the tear-off
shingles out of the yard.
On the yard and pick up the nails. And eventually I got bumped up to being able to bring the shingles up the ladder. And then I did get to nail down some shingles as well. So.
Dang, you've done a lot of physical labor.
Yeah, I was kind of a tomboy. So
yeah. And then you had 4 boys of your own?
Yes.
That must be fun. Sorry, this is totally off topic, but what's it like raising 4 boys?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I would have my nieces over and I just don't know what to. I love my nieces, but they're like, can you do my hair? And I'm like, no.
It's like, I keep my hair short, so I don't have to worry about that stuff. Yeah.
Nope.
That's funny.
So with boys, it's fun because we get to go camping and sports, all the stuff that I love.
Yeah.
So I'm sure if I had a girl, I'd raise her the same way too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
She'd just learn to love it. So
yeah, it's funny. I had a friend. This is totally unrelated. I'm kind of just closing up. But she had boys and then a girl, and then she ended up having another girl, and she just kind of raised them all the same. But she never really did makeup and her own hair and stuff like that. So she never really did that. But then her youngest daughter, like 10 years old, just obsessed with and she's like, I don't know how to do this. I don't do my own make. I don't do eyeliner or anything like that. Like, I don't know. My daughter's just obsessed with it and wants to. And so she's like doing YouTube tutorials and like learning how to do that sort of stuff with her daughter and like asking friends who are hairstylists and stuff. And she's really into it. Like she's a young adult now, her youngest daughter. But it was funny seeing that transition. She's one of my neighbors growing up, and it's just like, it's interesting how kids each have their own very distinct personalities, and it's not always reliant on just what you as a parent teach them or how you raise them. Like they have their own personalities and loves and desires and pursuits.
Absolutely. You just have to find what they love and support them in it.
Yeah.
So
I think it's important pointing out the family stuff too, because I think that also helps dealing with certain buyers and sellers, right? Like when they know your experience, both as a contractor and maybe roofing experience or all those things you've experienced, you know, like I know we haven't really talked about it. I don't know if you want to get into it, obviously, like the medical stuff that you've experienced too. Yeah. But also raising, like those all give you valuable insights when someone's moving from out of state and trying to buy a property. And it's like, oh, they've got kids and they've got this. Here's what's important. Here's what a lot of people usually think is valuable in Utah. Here's the reason why this property might not be as good as this property for how you plan to live in your home. So I think it's important to talk about that sort of stuff. And I appreciate that you share that.
Yeah, I share it with my clients all the time. I even say I'm a mom. And if it's younger buyers, I say, I'm a mom and I want you to make the best choice, just like I would tell my own kids, this is what I think would be better for you. Or no, I actually don't think that's a good choice for you.
Yeah. So was it hard to move out of general contracting and like tile installation and all of that and get into doing real estate, or is it just different?
I was doing real estate, and it's a funny story. Like there's a few times in between cutting tile, I would be doing an offer negotiation on the phone, and I'd tell everybody to shut down the saws.
Oh, that's
funny.
And
I would be talking about a negotiation. We've toured homes before with me in my work tile uniform, you know, the overalls and
nice
knee pads and thin set from head to toe. And so it was a different transaction because or a different transition because it was going from physical working harder to working smarter.
Yeah.
And this weekend we got to install a glue down LVP floor in my son's condo. And I was like, oh yeah, this is why I stopped doing this, because I am so out of shape and this is so physically exhausting, but it's rewarding to see it when it's all finished and done. There's something with just like working with your hands and creating it that I just love. So now it's just a different transition for me, I guess. I get to help set people up, and I can tell them like, actually, I wouldn't add another bedroom. I would add another bathroom. So there's different ways that I can create.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Kind of ran off on a tangent there, but
That's okay. I kind of feel like I did too, because this is just cool. I think one of the selfish reasons I like podcasting is I get to just talk to cool people about cool things and different experiences that are just totally different from mine. Like I sometimes joke with my wife that I'm like, I should quit insurance and go do this or that. And it's like, Jacob, it's just you having a rough day or whatnot. Cause I'm like, it'd be nice to like build, cause I've never done that.
Yeah.
I've never, I worked at a grocery store growing up, I worked at Seven Peaks growing up, I
nice.
did that. But like, I never had like a hard physical manual job. And I'm like, man, I have these soft little hand, I don't know. But so I think it's like, I love building stuff. Like every house that me and my wife ever bought, I've built shelves in the garage.
Awesome.
And I'm like, I love doing that. And Kimberly's like, man, you love doing that. You should just do that. I'm like, oh, well, no, I'm just going to, Anyways, I don't know what I'm saying, but I'm kind of wrapping up here.
There's a difference between doing it as a hobby and doing it full time.
Yeah. Yes.
There's days where I was just dragging and it was so hard. And then mental or physical started happening where I couldn't understand why my blood pressure was tanking out and I was getting lightheaded and couldn't no longer do the physical work. And so we had to transition out of that. But I still get calls probably once a week for a tile referral.
Someone's like, wow.
I heard that you're the
good
best.
Like I am.
I was. Thank you. And I definitely appreciate a good install job when I'm touring and I'm like, whoever did this tile, wow, it looks so good. Run a penny across that.
Yeah. Love it. It's even.
Yes.
Oh, cool. So, well, thank you so much for coming on. This has been wonderful, Kelsie. Just a quick allowing you to plug yourself. If people are listening to this and they're like, wow, I'm touched by the realness and the grace of Kelsie, how can they find you? I'll obviously put links in the description too.
Facebook and Instagram.
That's the best way to do it.
I did have TikTok, but that's where I shared a lot of the skin cancer stuff.
Yeah.
So
I saw your thing where your post, it was like just a couple days ago even, where you were like, I deleted it all after this comment. And
I
it's
delete
tough.
a lot of comments on that. So.
Yeah, I've had just know as well. Not that this is comparison, just I understand the cancer stuff because I had a cousin that had cancer in like her late 20s, skin cancer, and I have an uncle that's had cancer like 11 times.
Wow.
Yeah, he's like missing 80% of his large intestine and earlobe, and he's got hundreds of cysts in his stomach right now, and it's like he's going to die from that. Like there's no coming back at that point, but he's survived. So I am. My grandmother passed away from lung cancer when I was a kid, and she never even smoked. Yeah. So it's definitely rough dealing with cancer. Yeah.
Well, and skin cancer, especially the type of skin cancer I've had, is not comparable.
Yeah.
To those stories. Different. I was just sharing my journey, and hey, maybe you should get your skin checked out.
Yeah. Get your regular physicals. So there's our last piece of wisdom for the day is. Go to your regular doctor's appointments and find out if things are wrong, because things go wrong quicker than you'd expect. And sometimes catching things early is all the difference.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, cool. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
I don't know if there's anything else I should be asking, but
no.
Thanks. Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching.